Hey everyone, it is Kai, and today we're going to go through all the Silverdust lists and just take a quick look at what's good in each clan and how you might want to build it. Basically, we're doing it this way because Silverdust has been out for a while. There was a big kind of difference in set release, big timing difference in set release between Silverdust and just like JP version and the English version. So we've seen all of these lists floating around, a lot of shop tournament lists as well, because that was a time when there weren't really any major tournaments, so there was like shop qualifier time, so kind of like decent lists, but at the same time you find a lot of weird lists. But I basically just gone through all of them and picked out the ones that I think are pretty good. So let's just jump into it. You can see new shirt, new WCC shirt, it's pretty cool. How do I stand up? I don't know. But yeah, unfortunately no tournaments in English for us to really show this off, so unlucky for me. But yeah, let's get right into the decks. Alright, so let's start off. We have Kagura. Alright, you might have seen this list. This is the recent list that won, well, not won, but top 4 Tokyo. I actually tested this list. I actually like it. It's pretty decent. It's got a nice mix between high roll and just playing normally, which is decent. Like against decks like unnerfed Leward, you definitely do want the high roll. But you know, if you're playing just against a weaker deck, or just want to play normally, you can still play a normal tempo kind of version of Cross. And then against like things like Protect, which are kind of not great matchups for you if you don't high roll them, then you still, yes, you have the opportunity to high roll. You can just throw it out of your hand, just go face, and just kind of win like that. So pretty, like overall, it's a kind of standard build. He's running Berserk Dragons, which is like just more consistency and draw. The interesting thing is he's running this Gibble card, which just goes into Soul. You find that when playing the Cross, there's two things that really piss you off. It's running out of Soul, because then you need to re-ride another Cross, or you just feel bad. And then running out of the ends in deck, which is happens. It just happens. If you draw your ends, you just feel bad and just don't really play the game. But overall, it's pretty standard. You got Calamity Tower Wyvern just to get that extra power pump, which will just let you high roll. But at the same time, playing normally, you can use it as a boost and then commit to it later on your finishers. And then only 3 ammo, which is kind of interesting. 3 Torrid Cannons. Normally people run 4. I do think it's okay to like take out a card and just run 4 of that. He's running like 2 vanilla draws here, which is kind of weird. That's also because he wants to run the 30k Sentinel, which is overall a decent guard. You know, sometimes Kagura has less hand, low hand amounts. 30k is just a great 30k slam it down, and he's easy forget, like fire and forget kind of null, right? So overall, it's a pretty standard build of Cross. I definitely think it's good. It's good. I've tested it. It's really good. But I think a lot of people are more interested in the more YOLO-y version of this deck, which was got like kind of fame when it first popped up. And this is the 16 crit version of the Cross. Now, I'm not a huge fan of 16 crit Cross, but look, if you want to win, you might as well win fast, right? So as you can see, 16 crit. Pretty much entire, just all focused on YOLOing your opponent. He's got 4 Decats, 4 Calamity Tower Wyverns, just to like, you know, ride create 3 first, get a crit and win the game. That's pretty much the deck. He's even got like this 1 copy of Prowling Dragon Stricken, so that he can confirm to at least get 1 more crit on his cross ride. Well, it's not really cross ride, on the cross ride. So then you have like, he's swinging for like 3 crit, and if he triggers more crit, it becomes 4 crit. But then at the same time, you can also, if you ride on a Stricken, you can go force 1, and then you have 2 crits like that. So interesting. It's a very interesting build. If you don't really want to play the game, or if you just want to high roll really hard, then this is the deck for you. Not even any heals, just go face and bam, you can win like that, right? We also have Blade Master. I whipped this one up pretty quickly. Blade Master. Overall, if you want to build Blade Master because you think it's cheaper than the Cross, maybe think again. Because Doha's actually kind of expensive. I think they're like 20 bucks each. Overall, Soen is pretty good. Just pretty much a straight up buff to old Dragonic Blade Master, right? And you don't really, like, in this build, I'm running 2 of the old one. You technically don't need to, you just YOLO the new one, because the new one is just like way better. Overall, you're still running Torrid Cannon. Normally you might think Torrid Cannon is like a card for the Cross, but you can still put stuff back, okay? And the interesting thing is that the second effect, which requires you to have 4 or less cards in your hand to get the draw off, you can discard 2 for your Dragonic Blade Master, and then you can go down to 4, and then you can use this and get the draw, and then you kind of get back cards from the drive check. So turret cannon's pretty good. You also have your Soja. This just puts back all your Dohas and Garens. So like technically speaking, you run less Garens and less Dohas, but I just like consistency. I like being able to always just have my Dohas and my Garens. And I mean, if you get a Doha, you get a Garen, right? But if you get both, then you don't even have to use Doha's skill. You just automatically like saves a counterblast. That means you can save counterblast for this new card, which is Book of Strong Arming. And this is actually very interesting. You get to draw 3. Draw 3 is good. Front row gets 10k. So your token also gets, your vision token gets fat too. So yeah, it's like kind of like a nice finisher, but at the same time, since this deck doesn't use that much counterblast as well, or the counterblast that it uses gets refunded through ammo, you have options to actually just counterblast 3 and draw cards and get more card advantage. So overall, Blade Master, pretty decent. If you want a more budget version, if you already have like the Dohas, right, then you're set, right? Just buy the new stuff and you're done. Okay, so let's jump into Messiah. This is a pretty standard build of Messiah thing that I've been playing around with. We've got 4 Volcos for Ultra Ego Messiahs and 4 of the Order, which pretty much rounds it up to 12 grade 3s. We got 10 grade 2s. 2 of them are flex slots. We got 4 Lady Battlers and 4 Gasterer. I don't know how to actually say that properly, but those are not the flex slot. This last slot, Blast Monk is the flex slot. It lets us soul charge, but in the mirror, it also gets rid of your opponent's Volcos, which is pretty good. Yeah, it's soul charges. So sometimes if the game goes too long, you're gonna run out of soul. And although nothing really uses soul, your Ultra Ego still uses soul, so that can be an issue. Now, then your grade 1s is pretty standard. You get grade 3 Searchers, and you got your Manipulator of the Void, which is really good if you get early. And then you got this Yo-Yo Man, unless you draw a card. But overall, so the whole idea of this deck is you just want to get your Ultra Ego, and you want to draw a Volco, and you want to get that Volco out as soon as possible, and start smashing face. Because even like a Kagura deck doesn't really have any good ways to get rid of a Volco, except from like a Berserk Dragon. That's about it. But if you get a Manipulator early, and it hits, then bam, you're already winning, son. Alright, you're already winning. Alright, get that Manipulator out, get that effect. If they don't guard, and pro tip, guard Manipulators is as early as possible. If they get that out and you Volco, you win. And even if you don't have Volco, right, putting out anything else, Lady Battler is fine. Get a draw from it, so that lets you go through your deck and get you more of your keepies. Now, there are other ways to build the deck. I know, like this list here, I don't know what I think I want a shop challenge. You just replace pretty much the same list. You just replace the Blast Monk with Burst Monk, which enables you to high roll a bit more. You reveal a grade 3, so you have 8 grade 3s. It counts the order. You reel one, you restand your Vanguard, and you win the game, right? And then we got another one here. This one just took out some orders to play more grade 2s and grade 1s. Running like Destiny Dealer, which I don't really agree with. Like, the order is just really important, because if you don't have the order, there's no way for you to really pop off of your Ultra Ego Messiah to get like those multi-attacks with Ultra Ego Messiah. Because they come in locked, and the only way to unlock them is to attack with Ultra Ego. So if you have that order, and if the order also replaces itself, you basically get your like immediate value from your Ultra Egos, right? Lastly, we got like this build from Evelov from Korea, and he's playing some harmonics, so this is kind of interesting. It means that you have more longevity, you have better ride targets. You're not screwed when you like don't hit your 4-Os. You have a 6 ride targets over 4, which is a big difference. The only thing that I don't really like is that there's less Volcos, but I guess like the more Volcos you draw later on that don't, like if you're not losing Volcos, then every Volco you draw after like 2 on your field is just kind of a waste. But in the end, right, like I do think Volco is very important and the order is very important. So like the best thing that Harmonics does is that it sets up, if like being an alternate ride, you can kind of set up a Volco, you can search a Volco and call it out, and then you've got a nice setup. But since you're running like 2 less Volcos, kind of feels bad, right? Because then you have less chance of even seeing it in the first place. And I think in the early game, where you want to see a Volco with one of your other combinations of cards, I think running just max Volco is better. But yeah, if you like the Harmonics, I think is kind of a bit less value overall. So yeah, but it's an interesting build. If you have harmonics and you want to play them, just put them in. Put them in. Moving on, we got some OTTs. All right, now a lot of people are underestimating OTT. I think OTT is really good. OTT is probably one of the best decks currently in the format. Although we're missing a really key PR, it is Battle Sister Castaneda, I think. Basically, when you drive check, a trigger, the card gets 10k once per turn, so it just gets fat. But we don't have that. We don't have that, and by the time it probably comes out, OTT will not be as relevant. So OTT is good for this format. But when the better protect decks come out, like Grand Blue and Dark Riggers, I think this deck just kind of falls off a bit because OTT really doesn't have a good way to beat them. You know, Night Rose 5 attacks, get more cards, get hits, higher columns. Yeah, they're crazy. So, but right now in this current format, OTT is still pretty good. So let's just go through the deck a bit. We got Sano, we got Amaterasu. Amaterasu is basically your like extra 4 crit triggers. We got Uriel. Now, why are we still running Uriel? This card is so old. Because everything reveals stuff in this. Everything checks, everything like reveals cards. And Uriel lets you soul charge them. This means you'll never have any soul issues. But again, like this deck usually doesn't really have much soul issues. The thing that uses soul is Sano, uses 1 soul. I've got Kuro Kazuchi here, he uses 1 soul, and then your grade 3 Victorious Deer uses 2 soul, but he requires 2 grade 3s. Now, the more important part of Uriel is, yes, you can soul charge a grade 3 early, because Sano's effect is actually limited behind grade 3. You need a grade 3 in soul to get the max effect, but 2 is not bad. But the other thing is that also that Uriel's soul charging gets rid of cards you don't want, right? So you look at top 2, oh no, there's like 2 blanks there. Well, since I've checked the top 2, I can soul charge 1 and use another card to put that away as well. So you're just getting rid of your blanks to reach your triggers and then trigger hard, boys. Otherwise, yeah, another Victorious Deer, we're still running that. Great finisher, you know, stacking crits is good. Kuroi Kazuchi, now this is just overall another way to go through your deck, but also just gets power even if you just trigger nothing as well. And then we have Sapient Angel. Now this is basically an incredibly easy upgrade to every single top deck check in the game because it checks top 3. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on Vanguard Circle, but I think top checking 3 is pretty darn good. Way better than everything before. We're still running 4 Promised Orders because OTT doesn't really have any decent B sticks, but Promised Order is great because it's 6k. You know, it gets 6k and it can't be retired, so it kind of sticks around for a long time. We run the grade 3 Searcher, of course, but the grade 3 Searcher is actually really interesting because it reveals. So if you reveal an Amaterasu, bam, 10k and a crit. Now, how are we replacing the cards, the Battle Sister Castanedas, right? Well, we run 4 Battle Sisters, and if we don't have them, I basically replace them with Offset Angel. Now, what does this card do? So you can rest this card, or you can look at the top card of your deck, and then you can put it to the top or bottom, and then you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is a normal unit, for this turn, this card in the same column as this gets 10k. So why are we running this? Again, it's just to go through the deck more, and sure, if you reveal like a normal unit, that's fine, you can leave it there, then you can soul charge away with your Uriel, and then bam, you're reaching your triggers that soon. So this is basically just a way to quickly kind of go through your deck more. The 10k is kind of irrelevant because you kind of don't, you're basically minusing 7k boost to get like a 10k power. So it feels bad, man, but honestly, lets you get to your triggers more, so that's good too. And I'm also running 1 Gemini Oracle Guardian Gemini, just to countercharge 1. Sometimes I've reached that situation where I was like using Tetris, and I would really like 1 more Counterblast, so that's where the Gemini comes in. And yeah, we're running 3 Tetra Megas just to stack crits. You're running 10 crits in this deck, which is, I think it's kind of standard in Protect now. You can run high crit counts because you do get like null guards from your grade 3s, so just running 2 of the 30ks is just really, really good. And lastly, we are moving on to Dimension Please. Now, I don't really have much to say about Dimension Please because it feels bad, and you know why? Not cause like the deck, the cards themselves are expensive, because everything from Silverdust is pretty cheap, but every single deck, right? Every single Dimension Please deck right now needs pretty much 4 Twin Orders. Now, you can't really see them here, but here are 4 Twin Orders. And Twin Orders are like 40 USD each. So if you don't have any Twin Orders, it's like a feels bad, man, right? Like you can build the deck, but it's gonna be significantly not as good. But if you do have 4 Twin Orders, this is pretty much one of the better Dimension Place decks I've seen. Stephen Lowe, he came like 4th at Gift VGCS 8 by our friend Seiji. And yeah, he's got a pretty crazy list, like 4 blacks, but then he's got like nearly everything else. He's got 2 Die-Liners, 2 Zyzoras, 1 Die-Arm. Die-Arm's so cool. Best card in DP. And then 3 Great Die. So it looks like it's interesting. It's interesting. It can do everything at the same time. You can restand, black restands. You get good Die-Liners, Die-Liner with crits. It's got a bit of every single flavor in the deck. All right. It's got 7 grade 3 searchers. You got Die Scooper is the new grade 3 searcher. Just check top 7 when you ride on top of it for a grade 3. So that's pretty interesting. Then you got the these guys get crits, and then you got no dragons here. So overall, it's a pretty interesting Dimension Please deck. But again, right, it's running at like 8 draws. Crazy. But again, like, don't forget, no Twin Order feels bad. You go Force 2 of this pretty easily. Before, you had issues where Force 2 kind of was a bit clunky if you went Force 2, but now with Twin Orders, it makes it all sweet. But unfortunately, yes, you need Twin Orders, and that's like $40. So yeah, that's it for all the decks. If we want to talk about tier list, I can quickly tell you which ones are tier 1. Messiah, tier 1 currently. Kagura, tier 1 currently. I think the Cross is tier 1. Blade Master probably like tier 1.5, but if you don't like decimals, then yeah, it's a tier 2. And then I think OTT is tier 1 as well. People are gonna hate me for it. Spoilers, I think it's tier 1. But out of every single tier 1 deck, OTT is gonna disappear off the fastest. I think Dimension Place is like a tier 2. So that's it from me. That's Cliff Notes version, but probably not, because we talked about a lot of decks. But yeah, that's it for Silverdust. We're gonna get so many sets so soon, alright? Like a week, well, just over a week, 10 days, right? Bam, we're gonna get a set. A month later after that, bam, another set. So, sets are coming, and we're gonna talk about them more. So, talk to you guys soon. See you later. Bye.